So before we go into the head demo, I'm going to talk about a few more brushes and a little bit of material. So we've talked a little bit about subtools, just a tiny bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about materials right now. So this is Matte Cap Red Wax, and it's fine for sculpting. I generally like to use Matte Cap Gray, so you can go check that. And honestly, what I would do is use different materials for kind of evaluating your mesh. You know, if you use this matte cap all the time, you can use Matte Cap Red Wax to kind of pick up a lot of deformations in the object. If you're doing like automotive sculpting, you could change that to a chrome if you wanted to. There's a lot of matte caps in here, and what a matte cap is a material capture. It's basically baked in material and lighting information onto a sphere, which then gets applied to your object, and it makes it look like it's made out of that material. So I've got Matte Cap Green Clay here, makes it look like it's made out of green clay. Underneath that, so here's your quick picks. These are the ones you've used most recently. Here's your Matte Cap materials, and as you roll over these, depending on your preferences, it'll actually update with the selected subtool with what it's going to look like. So that's kind of interesting to kind of roll through here and just kind of pick one you like to work with. And down here under standard materials, these are a little bit more basic, like the basic materials, a little more basic, but these aren't captured. These are just kind of like if you go into Maya and you have a Lambert or a Blend or a 3D Studio Max or any 3D program really, and you're going to have like a speck fall off and a little bit of material properties, maybe a diffuse, a color, all sorts of things. These are kind of just the basics of that material. So like a Lambert or a Blend, this would have like a gray color with a little bit of speck and a speck fall off. So the speck power and then a speck fall off, that kind of thing. And you can certainly use these. Just really quickly, the difference between, one of the basic differences between a matte cap and a basic material is lighting. So a basic or a matte cap material, if we select Matte Cap Gray, and this is actually kind of, you know, that's a nice one for my eyes to look at. I don't get too caught up in surface details, but I can't really change the lighting. So let's talk a little bit about the lighting menu. I'm going to get rid of this brush menu here, and just really quickly we'll grab the light menu, dock it over here, and I've got this light by default is on, and you've got one light in your scene. If I take this light and move it around, it doesn't do anything. Now, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, but if I hit BPR, it will actually control where the shadow falls. That's about it on a matte cap. So on a matte cap, it isn't affected by lighting because that lighting is actually baked into the material itself. So it looks really good and it looks really realistic, but it's limited by the lighting that's baked into the material. However, if we go over here to like say basic material, we'll do basic material 1. Here's basic material 1, and if I move this light around, it actually updates. As well as if I want to turn on another light, all you got to do is select the light and then tap it again to turn it on, tap it again to turn it on, or tap it again to turn it off. Tap it once to select it. I can change the color. We'll change that to a blue, and with this one selected, I can actually move this light around. So you can kind of start lighting different sides of your object. So that's kind of the power of a basic material, is that it can be lit by multiple lights. We'll get into lighting a little bit more possibly when we get into rendering and stuff if you want to render in ZBrush. But for now, this is just super basic. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the second light just by tapping it. Make sure it's off. Tap this one to select it. You can move it around. You can look at the light straight on, straight overhead. If you want to send the light back behind the object, just tap it once, just click it, and that'll send it behind the object, and it'll kind of do like a rim light type deal. So you can kind of layer these lights around and get some really cool effects, or tap it to send it back around to the front and kind of move it around. You can use that to kind of evaluate the lighting on your object. And then if you want to, you can go back in here to your matte caps, select the Matte Cap Gray, and start sculpting.